going to crash Fraps now. Oh no, we're actually recording. Okay, so Fraps has gone and kicked us in the nuts once more. We just recorded what was a fantastic end session to Dungeon World. And then it...
I was, as always, hilarious. And also prescient.
And then Fraps decided not to render out the end video. So, we're just going to have to do a quick recap, which is better than nothing, but yeah, not happy about this.
Things happen, people.
Apologies to all, etc.
Yep. So, where we left off, there was a giant fight.
And the giant fight has shown that in the middle of the room stood the sword.
Everyone then went straight for the sword. And, except for Mott, who decided he was going to join in the wrestling, having a slight moment.
No.
Okay, so here's the problem. Someone offhandedly mentioned the title King of the Mountain. And this apparently set off something in Mott's, brain, quote-unquote. And that just completely restored his original personality when he was alive. Where it turns out he was the greatest wrestler of all time.
He did wrestle down every giant.
He wrestled down every single giant and was crowned, heavyweight wrestler of the world, champion of the world, when he himself is like a super featherweight at only 14 pounds.
And thus, so during the fight, while Mott was doing this, the scramble for the sword hap started as Edna turned on Haster and Selwyn and the Mountain squabbled over the sword.
Tried to abscond with the sword.
Yep. Looked like the Mountain was actually going to get away with it until he tripped over a giant in the corridor.
Stone or something.
Should have just powered on through.
Yeah.
I tried to jump over his head.
Yeah. At which point, the whole building was already on fire by this point.
Selwyn has set the building on fire to cover his escape because Selwyn, smartly enough, decided that screw this, I'm just going to steal everything. Because he remembered he was in a giant treasure hold.
Yeah, my entire reason for joining this party was loot. I got loot.
And
therefore you were satisfied. Even if you did lose your entire homeland.
And you adopted the orphan as well.
Yep, and the flesh giant.
I technically adopted him to use him as a loot bag, but it works.
And
so what we did in the first place, just legally.
Yes. And also, during this time, during all the fire, the flame had turned yellow for Edna had got the book on fire.
Because that seemed like a good idea at the time.
But since in the flame, Haster had embraced the book, and all the flames turned yellow, as Haster became the burning gate to the King in Yellow.
So he starts pursuing the Mountain down the stairs.
And the Mountain, having stumbled, dropped the sword, giving the gate to Yellow enough time to get within sight of him and to command the Mountain to ram him through.
Which the Mountain duly did.
And then, seeing all this, decided to try and stone the King in Yellow.
For the gate in Yellow had merged with the Mountain, using him as a vessel.
Partially succeeded.
I didn't roll high enough, or I didn't, nor low enough to miss.
Yeah, you wanted to hit hard and avoid hitting him, or roll low and miss completely, and he rolled right in the middle and stabbed him. So
stabbed him and ran him through, and he was embraced.
Yep, the sword hit the book, and that brought the King in Yellow into action.
The sword pierced the book and pierced Haster as well, and Haster embraced the Mountain as the gates and made the Mountain into the vessel. And thus...
Enda continued to attempt to turn this abomination into stone.
Having used the basilisk
because he can turn into a basilisk, remember? Failed spectacularly, although he did start turning him into stone.
Yeah, there's quite a stony King in Yellow now, but he's not completely stone.
He's now just...
Then the King in Yellow decided to try to get him on side.
He just merely looked into his soul and commanded him to serve.
Enda made a good show of defying this, but ultimately was subsumed. His last act of defiance, an attempt to bury the Isle of Big Man entirely, failed.
All the while, Selwyn pieced the fuck out as fast as he could. But during this time, Mott had finished wrestling down every skeleton there is, and then the King in Yellow...
I wrestled down all the giants.
Wrestled down the giants, I'm sorry. And so the King in Yellow walked up and presented the gilded belt to him, and crowned Selwyn the Lord of the Ring.
Crowned Mott.
Mott, the Lord of the Ring.
Yep. So that gets Mott on side. So the King in Yellow now has the scepter, which is the Queen Mother's staff. He has the sword, and he has his own orb, which is Mott's skull.
Mott's skull.
Mm-hmm. Which is still functional and possibly sane now. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, you are Mott, so. I mean, Haster's gone to sing in the heavenly choir, for the king is now about.
Yep.
Look, what I'm getting at is that the King in Yellow now has that sick ass orb that happens to be a smack talking skull. All right, that's rad as hell. I love it.
Yep. So
Enda is essentially not a person anymore.
Well, you now serve.
Basically, he's like Krieg from Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
His internal voice is really not happy about the state of affairs, but doesn't really have any control.
Yep.
Selwyn.
And all.
Sorry, you carry on.
I was gonna say all the while Selwyn.
Yeah.
And was leave forever. What did you do?
Yes, sir.
What did you do when you got away from the castle?
I managed to pick my way through a constantly changing non-Euclidean geometry.
Yep.
And when you made it to the boat.
Yep.
Unfortunately, while trying to help them navigate away,
I accidentally looped back like the wife of Lot and lost 5 years off my life.
20.
For seeing into the face of madness.
20 in medieval. In our terms, biologically 5 years. For medieval times, 20. But yeah, and then as they managed to get onto the boat, flee to the Irish Sea, but behind them they saw like a wall of wind wrap around the entire of Britain.
that and a like pinkish dome. The land has turned an odd hue.
Yeah.
And as you try and look at it, you get like a heat haze effect that you know it's there, but you can't just look directly at it.
It's like an SCP field, except malicious as hell.
Yep. So Selwyn survives, along with the orphan and the flesh golem. Everyone else is still alive, but now working for the King in Yellow. So our plan
is the King in Yellow.
Or is the King in Yellow. So our plan is to come back to this in another system after we've done our next game, which is Eclipse Phase. And then see what else we can do to destroy the world.
It will be a fair amount of time, though, because if I have any say in it, and so far I've had a lot of say in it, we're going to be in Eclipse Phase for a very long time.
And basically as we bring the entire world to chaos.
So, as again, sorry this is just a quick,
rundown,
but it's better than nothing.
Fraps sometimes just hates awesome things.
Pretty much.
I always think our best bits have been lost. We lost a bit of the Queen Mother in the first series, where she they blamed it on the maid.
Yes, and where she blamed it on the maid, and because her grandmother was doing necromancy.
Yep, and we lost it. But well.
All right.
Also incited by a stir. Remember.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So, see you in a couple of weeks where we start up Eclipse Phase. And I hope you've enjoyed Dungeon World. I can't talk today.
Nope.
All right.
See you in a couple weeks when we start on Dictron's magical space adventure.
Yep.
By magic, everyone goes ah as the Exurgents eat us all.
That's the plan.
You're not supposed to know about those.
I know, but it's still gonna happen.
All right. See you all then.
Bye.